let's talk about the meaning of vision and hope. Sam, how would you define vision?
I would define vision as this overarching goal that's more broad and grand. It's essentially a perception of how you see yourself. Marcella, do you have anything to add to that definition?
No, I think that's a really good definition.
All right, Marcella, what about hope? How would you define hope?
Ooh, hope. For myself, I would define hope as a feeling of trust and a feeling of desire to reach a goal or hoping for a certain thing to happen. So like I have hope to reach my certain goal.
That's great. And hope is something that we also have because of Jesus Christ. It says in Hebrews 10, in chapter 10, verse 23, let us hold fast the confession of our hope without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Now, Marcella, how do vision and hope go together?
Well, I think vision and hope go together because with without hope you can't achieve your vision because you need hope to achieve that vision.
Right, of course, of course. Well, I think now we have a good start on what hope and vision truly mean. Let's see what some of our classmates have to say with this pre-recorded interview. Then we'll invite a few panelists to our conversation to unpack more about this topic.
Vision affects my daily life because it motivates me to keep going. Vision gives my life meaning.
Hi, my name is Ian. I'm in 6th grade. I like to play chess and I like to get at least 1,000 euro before the end of the year. So vision helps me have a discipline to practice and study openings, calculations, and have better visualization of the board.
Hi, my name is Melissa and I'm in 6th grade. I have a vision to adopt tons of stray dogs to help them find a family that loves them and cares for them.
Hi, my name is Isabella. I'm in 6th grade. My vision for myself is to get into a good high school, so I can get into a good college to become a lawyer and help people when they need to stand up for themselves.
Hi, my name is Derek and I'm part of 5th grade. My vision for myself in the future is to go to a school with a good math or science program.
Well, a vision I have for myself in the future is to get a good job, and the job I want to get is to become a lawyer. I also want to be able to have a closer relationship with my family and with God.
Thank you to all of our students for doing those interviews. We really think that it is important for students to have visions for themselves in the future. We've also invited a few panelists to join us tonight to give us their personal insight on the topic of vision and hope. First, we have a couple outside panelists. We have Dr. Leslie Smith. Dr. Smith holds a doctorate in education from Pepperdine University's prestigious organizational leadership program. Dr. Smith has been a private school educator for more than 30 years. She is also the intern program director of Principal 360 and worked together with Miss Lee as her coach last year. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. I have a first question for you. Could you tell us a little more about what you do?
Well, sure. You kind of summarized it in the introduction, but I am an educator. That's what I still do. I've been an educator for over 30 years. I worked as a teacher in elementary, middle school, and high school, and then I served as an administrator in private Christian schools for 20 plus years. I was the principal and then the head of school at Orange Lutheran High School here in Southern California. This is where I was born and raised. Orange Lutheran is grades 9 through 12. It's the largest Lutheran high school in the country. Whenever I retired in 2019, there were about 1,380 students. So it's a larger, one of the larger Lutheran high schools, the largest Lutheran high school. And then after I retired, I founded my own educational consulting business called Education Solutions Redefined. So what I basically do now as an educational consultant, I work with school leadership teams. I serve as a strategic partner, and I basically help leadership teams lead their schools. And then, as you mentioned, I got to know Miss Lee because I serve as the program director for Principal 360 with CLEF. That's the Chicagoland Lutheran Educational Foundation. And essentially what that program is that we train and support and develop principals, leaders across the country, all Lutheran school principals. So last year I was Miss Lee's instructor for one of her courses and also her coach.
Well, it sounds like you have a big impact on people and students especially. So this leads me to my next question. What do you think has been the biggest impact that you have had on students?
Wow. Well, it's a great question. You know what? I would hope that the biggest impact that I have had on students is that they know how much they are loved. First, that they are loved by me, but more importantly, that they know that they are forever loved by God, by Jesus Christ, our Savior, and by God, our creator of our universe. I am very fortunate that I get to meet up with many of my former students, and I'm very grateful that they often thank me for helping them to feel seen. Specifically, the high school students were most recently, I was the principal and head of school at Orange Lutheran for 12 years. So the ones that I often speak with, they talk about how they felt valued and cared for and how meaningful that was to them. They talk a lot about how the impact, my area of expertise and really my focus in education is on emotional intelligence. And they talk about how important and what an impact the conversation that we had about that school is as much as important emotional intelligence as it is IQ. So EQ versus IQ. And that's really the difference between learning, which would be the process of growth, versus doing school, which is really just focusing on grades. So I would hope that the students, the greatest impact would be that they have understood and that they see the importance of lifelong learning and that they know how very important they are to this world, and that education is about solving problems, learning how to solve problems and serve people to make the world a better place, really for God's glory. So that's what I would hope.
Yes, yes. My next question is, how do you think vision plays a role in the schools that you work with?
Well, that's huge. Vision is really the foundation of everything. It drives the very purpose and the essence of who they are as a Lutheran school. And it really is all about what they do and where they're going. It would show them, the vision would show them what a graduate of a specific school would look like, what qualities they would have, what they would be able to do once they graduate. Perhaps you've heard in Alice in Wonderland, the cat says to Alice, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you there. So the purpose of a vision is it really sets the direction as to where you're going and why. So when I'm working with schools and with principals in particular, that's really where it has to start. And that's also why it's just so important to me, because without a vision, without a roadmap and an idea of where you want to go, you will never know if you got there or not.
Yes, vision is very important because it leads you on a path. This leads me to my next question, and that is, why is vision important to you?
Well, it's important to me as an individual as well. Again, kind of like I mentioned in the last response, it's important to me because it gives you a guiding set of values and a direction of where you want to end up. And so by having a big picture end in mind, it helps you to be able to set a path for the direction that you want to go. And for me, as an educator, it's really more about preparing the child for the path rather than preparing the path for the child. So much of education today has been so focused, again, just on building profiles and focused on just grades and creating an image of what we think a college wants a student to look like. But really, that's not what education is all about. Education is really about learning, about growth, about trying and failing and getting back up and figuring out what gifts God has given you so that you can use them to glorify Him and, again, to solve problems and serve people and make the world a better place.
Yes, and I have one more question for you.
Sure.
What advice do you have for students about vision?
What advice do I have? The advice that I would have about vision specifically for your age would be to really, first of all, start off and understand and know that you are all uniquely valued by God and that He does have a plan for you. So the first thing would be to understand your identity is in Christ. It's not based on the high school that you'll go to, the college that you'll go to. It's really about who you are in Jesus and the gifts that He has given you. So I would encourage students of your age to really be grateful and understand that you are already enough on account of what Jesus Christ has done for you, and to be focused on understanding and developing those gifts so that you can serve Him and glorify Him. So with that in mind, with that as the foundation, then you start to really vision and you say, okay, God, help me to see who you've created me to be and how I can use those gifts to bless other people and to glorify you.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
All right, now I'd like to introduce Christian Huang. Mr. Huang is the co-founder of Mobilize Love. Their mission at Mobilize Love is show up and give up hope. They do this by deploying a fleet of outreach trucks to deliver mobile human services and after-school programs to disadvantaged communities. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Huang.
Thank you, Sam, for having me.
So the first question I want to ask you is, do you have any other advice you would give to other students?
Advice as far as maybe having a vision for their life, it would be the same advice I give my kids. I have 4 children, and regularly I will encourage them to not focus on themselves, but to focus on others. Because St. Francis of Assisi, he has this great prayer, and part of it says, "It is by self-forgetting that one finds themselves." And so I always encourage my kids, and I would encourage your student body to really, if you want to find your purpose, you want to find your passion, you want to find success in life, really think outside of yourself, focus on others, because that's very much who God is, and that's how he created us to be. And I like what Dr. Leslie said. In fact, I use the exact same words, which is solve problems, serve others. Because usually if you're a problem solver and you're serving others, you're going to be very successful in life.
Of course, of course. What is the purpose/vision of Mobilize Love?
Well, we exist to show up and give hope, and the way that we do that is we have a fleet of outreach trucks that goes to underserved communities, and then we provide for people's immediate needs in the community, and then we also provide long-lasting solutions. And kind of the 3 areas of need we're hyper focused on meeting is food relief, literacy, and then social and emotional development, or social and emotional learning. What we've realized is there are many low-income families, under-resourced children in neighborhoods in San Francisco that they just don't have access to a lot of things. And some of them are struggling with reading. Some of them are struggling with making good life decisions or having healthy relationships. And so what we do is we go in with our trucks. We have a stage truck, a stories truck, which is a mobile library, a food truck, a laundry truck, food relief vans, and we go and we teach kids. Basically, the Bible says, teach a kid the way they should go, and then when they grow older, they won't depart from it. Well, what we found is a lot of kids, they're not even being taught how to live life. And so we go and we teach them basic life skills, social emotional learning, and then how to read and things like that.
Wow, sounds like you do a lot. What are some examples of some programs that offer hope to others in San Francisco?
Yeah, so our flagship program is our mobile after school program. So we take a stage truck and we go right on the sidewalk where kids live. We pop it open, and then we have a mobile after school program right where they live. And then in addition to that, we bring our stories truck, which runs our mobile literacy program, and then a food truck, which feeds the kids. And then between 1 to 2 hours, we'll take this group of kids, we'll teach them a life skill. We do that usually through a drama, a human video, a puppet show, or some type of short lesson that we do on the stage truck. And then we model reading for them, and then we teach them, and we give them access to books, and then we feed them a meal. And so by doing that, we're spending quality time with the children and their families. We collect their name in the database, and then our team does follow-up ministry with them throughout the week when we're not there. And so in doing so, we're also providing a safe haven for these kids, because a lot of the neighborhoods we're visiting are very unsafe neighborhoods. And so children are often holed up in their apartments or in their studios. And so when we show up, we're also providing safety for them to come outside and enjoy something outside of their little small homes. So that's just our flagship program.
Wow. Those are some pretty big impacts you're doing in those communities. Thank you for that. What do you hope that students that you help will learn and become?
The vision we have for the kids we're serving is that they would grow up. First of all, we are in the most unchurched city in America. So children and families in San Francisco don't really go to church. So that begs the question, how are they going to know about God if they're not being taught and they're not going to church? So the number one vision we have for kids and families in the city is that they would know Jesus. And so that's the underneath all that we do, we can meet someone's immediate needs. We can teach them how to read. We can teach them how to make great life decisions. But ultimately, the cornerstone of all that is really knowing God. And so the ultimate vision is that kids would come to know Jesus. And they're very open, actually. Kids are very open to understanding who God is. And then after that, after them coming to understand Jesus would be, that they would have a fair shot at life by being able to read at their normal grade level, and then being able to be equipped socially and emotionally to be emotionally healthy people so that they can have a fair shot at life, make great decisions, have healthy relationships.
Those are some important skills that you're giving these underserved kids. And finally, how can people support Mobilize Love?
I think there's a couple of ways. First of all, if you're on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at Mobilize Love SF, or if you're on Instagram at Mobilize Love, you could just follow us and support the work. You could have your family maybe financially support us by giving like $16 a month. As little as $16 a month can fuel our trucks to go out and keep serving. You can sign up at mobilizelove.org/fuel. Or you could do like your school is doing right now. You guys are going to be donating your offerings to our organization. That's huge for us because that empowers us to continue the mission of showing up and of giving hope. Or you could do a product drive. Maybe you don't want to give financially, but maybe you want to raise food. You want to gather products like food or Easter baskets or coats or something like that. There's always something you can do. Just follow us on social media or check out the website.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for investing your time in this program. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Smith and Mr. Huang. We really appreciate your insights on this topic. Now let's get some new insight from some of our WPL teachers. Joining us today, we have Mr. Bailey and Mrs. Shu. Mr. Bailey is a teacher at West Portal and teaches science for 6th and 7th grade students. He is currently getting his master's degree in special education and is getting his BS in history from Shorter University.
We also have today Miss Shu. Miss Shu is a teacher at West Portal and teaches Chinese for 4th grade students. Hi, Miss Shu. Hi, Miss Bailey. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. My first question is for Mr. Bailey. What does vision look like in a teacher's life? Does it always have to be clear and concrete?
Well, when I think about what vision looks like in my life and in my teaching, the first thing that comes to mind is Jesus. C.S. Lewis, the famous author and theologian, wrote, "I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun is risen, not because I see it, but because by it I see everything else." Vision to me is not about living this perfect life with health, wealth, and prosperity. It's about surrendering to Jesus. And for me, that's as clear as concrete as I can be.
All right, that's a good answer. Now I'm going to ask this next question to both of you, starting with Miss Shu. Miss Shu, what goals do you see your students setting for themselves?
For my lower grade students, most of the time we ask them like, "Oh, what's your goal? What's your visions for this year?" They just talk about, "Oh, I want to be better in certain subjects. I want to learn the new sports. I want to do this." But I totally agree with what Dr. Leslie says. Like most of the time, the students they don't know how much God loves them. So I hope we can tell them like, "Oh, maybe you can. God has the plans for you, and everybody can find a gift. God give it to you, and you can shine."
Of course, of course. Now, Mr. Bailey, what goals do you see your students setting for themselves?
Yeah, so personally, as a Christian, my deepest desire is for my students to know Jesus. I think about this really awesome story in the New Testament when the Apostle Paul stands before King Agrippa on trial in Acts 26, verses 27 through 29. King Agrippa, do you believe the prophets? Paul says to him, I know that you believe. And Agrippa says to Paul, in a short time, would you persuade me to be a Christian? And Paul said, whether it's short or long, I hope to God that not only you, but also all who hear me, that this day you might become such as I, except for my chains. Of course, I want my students to learn and make good choices and good grades. It's why I teach the way I do. But if I take Jesus out of the center of my teaching, then it's void of meaning. Therefore, therefore, my goal is for them is to set this principle of doing things to glorify God, which for my students, that means working hard to achieve their academic and professional goals.
Yes, I think that goals are very important, especially for students. This next question is also for both of you. I'll start with Mrs. Shu. What does the Bible say about vision?
Bible. I think it's like, can I share my favorite scriptures about a vision and hope? Yes. So in the Joshua, okay, it's about a hope. So Joshua verse 1 verses 5. It say, be strong and encouraged. Do not be terrified. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Oh, thank
So
you. That's
it's like when yes.
oh, I thought that verse was really
Did
nice.
you hear?
Yeah.
Yes. So also things like when you said doesn't matter, it's like what kind of goals, like short term or long term goals. But in the Bible, God always says like, don't be scared, I'll be with you. And everything is possible with God. Like, and
Yes.
that's the hope.
Yes. The same question for you, Mr. Bailey. What does the Bible say about vision?
Yeah, so I think about Hebrews 6, 19 through 20. We have this hope as an anchor for our soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctum behind the curtain, where our forerunner Jesus has entered on our behalf. He has become a high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. When I think about vision, when I think about that verse, I think about how my hope is in Jesus, and that gives me my purpose. Something truly to set my vision to. When I think about what happened 15 years ago, you know, 15 years ago, I was living in Georgia. Lived in rural Appalachian, North Georgia, and barely gone anywhere out of my life. Just kind of a redneck skater kid, and yet the Lord called me out here, and yet. In those 15 years later, I mean, I've gone through a lot of hardship and twists and turns, but the Lord has been faithful in that vision, and faithful in to me in so many ways, whether that's been like finding someone, marrying this really awesome lady, and or coming to teach at West Portal. I mean, the God is totally faithful, and whatever peril or hardship you go through, it's knowing that the vision that God has given you will be fulfilled and will be set, and that is anchored to the hope that is Jesus.
All right, that's great. And now I have the last question for Miss Shu. So, Miss Shu, what can you do to support students in their visions and goals?
I'm sorry, Sam, can you ask me again?
Miss Shu, what can you do to support students in their visions and goals?
Oh, okay. So I like to share with my students my personal testimonies because I feel nothing powerful than God's own words. So when they are telling me, it's like, I failed. It's impossible. I cannot do this. I fail. Like every day, believe it or not, I heard, probably Mr. Belly will agree with that because every day I heard so many times, I failed. I cannot do that. It's impossible for me. But my personal like testimony with God is when everybody I says, oh, I want to do this. When I was a high school kid, I want to do this. My family told me that that's impossible. And then when I said, oh, maybe I want to try that. And then the people says, you're not good enough. Until when I encounter God's love. And then I accept he's a savior. And God is the person told me, yes, you can do it. Were you willing to try? Were you willing to risk? But I will be with you. And I really made it to make my goal successful and then make my dreams come true. So I want to share it with my students, like the God's word is real and he is real. So don't give up. Just hold on to like God's words and then your visions will successful.
Yes, I think it's very important that students learn or understand that people are there for them and their goals, because goals are very important. Because a student needs a path, and sometimes that path or their path or that road that they're going down isn't just this one straight narrow road. It's this road, and you can go to the left or the right, but with the vision becomes there's decisions, like you can choose to do one thing this way, or you can choose it to do it the other way. So I think that that's why vision is very important. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciated your insights on this topic. Yes, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Bailey, and also Mr. Chu, and to our other guests, Dr. Leslie Smith and also Christian Huang. I'm Ms. Lee, the principal at West Portal Lutheran. Sam and Marcella, thank you so much for being fabulous hosts tonight. And Marcella, I just want to pick up off of where you just left off about just the road, having different paths at different times. A verse comes to mind, Proverbs 16:9. Is in his heart, a man plans his course, but the Lord determines the steps. And as you, Sam and Marcella, you both know, I was a student at West Portal Lutheran. And when I was in 8th grade like Sam, or 7th grade like you, Marcella, I really didn't have much vision for my life. I really felt a lot of the pressure of trying to do well in school and trying to be someone that I wasn't. My vision was to be exactly like a good friend that I had. And I know her gifts were not exactly mine, but I still wanted to have her gifts and talents. I don't know if you feel that, Sam and Marcella, ever. And I know we've had discussions about how vision and also hope look like in your life. But I just want to ask, just in reflection, you've heard from a lot of great people tonight as far as their thoughts on vision and hope. But just want to hear, what are some takeaways that you have from what you've heard tonight? Marcella, we can start with you.
Well, a couple of my takeaways would be that vision is very important in a student's life, and it leads them on their path. Also, that it's important that students are supported in their visions, not just students, but anyone is supported in their vision, and that they know that they can achieve that vision. Sometimes you have to have discipline for that, but I think that when you reach your vision, you realize, oh wow, like I did it. And there's this verse from Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2, and it said, "The Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it." So the Lord God is telling us to write our vision, and he's telling us that we can achieve it. So yeah.
Thanks, Marcella. And Sam, what about you? What are your takeaways from tonight?
My takeaways is that, like, vision, it's just more of an overarching goal. Hope is extremely important. They both tie in together. They're extremely important in a student's life, just to balance everything out. For example, I have high school, so hope and vision is really guiding me. And finally, that the Bible connects with hope and vision a lot, and we can use it to guide us as well.
And I thank Sam so much and Marcella, for your reflections and takeaways from tonight. We overarchingly as a school, our big vision for you guys, Sam and Marcella and everyone else out there listening from Westport Lutheran and our community, is that we would see you transformed by the gospel of Jesus Christ and confident in your God-given design and able to live purposeful lives of learning, service, and leadership. You two are doing that right now. We're seeing part of that vision come through your service and being ambassadors, as well as being hosts for tonight, and just seeing how God has given you these gifts to be able to be in front of a camera and talk and ad lib as the night goes on. Really, really proud to see all that realized in you, even in this short evening together. But that's our hope for all of our students. And as teachers, you heard it from Mr. Bailey. You heard it from Mrs. Shu, just how much they care to see that vision through in your lives. And then we see someone like Christian Huang, right, who's living the vision to bring hope to those students and young families here in San Francisco, in a place that is very dark. And how awesome it is when there's a vision for that, and you can change the world and impact the world for Jesus Christ because of that. And then, of course, Dr. Leslie Smith and her work with various schools and her experience as an administrator, as a teacher, she gets it. She knows that it's important for students to be seen. And I hope, Sam and Marcella, that that we see you, not just you two here right now on screen, but all of our students, and we desire and want for you to have that vision and hope for your life so that you can, again, be confident in who you are. And we believe in that. And we want to hear those stories as you graduate from Westport Lutheran and tell us, how God has led you in the different paths and vision that you have and see for your lives. We want to thank you again, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope that it was encouraging to you to hear from different people, and we hope to continue the conversation at school about how vision and hope play a role in your life. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that you'll tune in on a future WPLS Live. We have future upcoming events and live streams that we hope to share with you. Next month, we are talking about courage and grit, so you'll hear a little bit more about what that means as we talk together as a school. Thanks, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, everyone.